Welcome to the President and CEO Focus on the Middle Market podcast series, where President and CEO founder Paul Stukel discusses middle market issues with business leaders from across the nation. Today, Paul speaks with Frank Papa, President and CEO of middle market company Newark Recycled Paperboard Solutions, about his remarkable turnaround of this 100-year-old company.
As I understand it, you're kind of a turnaround specialist.
I am.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is really my fourth turnaround, all in private equity type firms, and I truly enjoy the challenge of a turnaround. It's fast paced. It's sometimes hectic, but you can really see the fruits of your labors fairly quickly if you're good. So I enjoy sort of the phoenix phenomena with a company in terms of bringing it back from the ashes. And I truly I think I have a great toolbox after my years at Fortune 100 companies and private equity companies now. I think a turnaround is truly dependent on the people, the organization, and how effective that leader can, in fact, change a culture and how quickly he can change a culture.
Motivation, there are lots of technical elements to that, of course, in terms of sort of the functions of a business, the brand, all that kind of stuff. But to my mind, it strikes me, and just a little aside here, the reason I'm asking this question is I've been the CEO of several companies, some of which were venture-backed, and there's that moment where the world seems like it's coming to an end, right? Almost always.
Oh, it does.
There's almost always in any trajectory of any company, unless they're really lucky. So you're coming in at that dire moment, at that moment of darkness, of uncertainty, of what the hell is going to happen. And motivation has got to be very, very high on the list for that, and you've done it several times. How do you move from the darkness to the light, so to speak, to get motivated to do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the first thing you have to do is establish yourself as a kind of leader that the people will trust. So I think you have to put forth what you believe your vision is for the company. And once they believe that vision and is properly communicated, from there you can establish your values, the value streams that employees must have to help us achieve this vision. So once you do that, the people, they feel much more comfortable with the guy running the ship. They say, this guy is, we sort of like what he's doing. We sort of agree with what he's doing. And, we sort of buy into this vision. So that's very important. And then once, you establish the vision, the values, and then from there you get your senior management team and drive a strategy together. Put a strategy together. Get upper management buy-in of the strategy, and then from there drive objectives, company objectives, and ultimately that will produce a plan. So it's very important for me right now when I communicate to my employees, whatever medium I choose to use, they believe me. Okay, if I say we're going to do this, or we're going to expand this plant, or we're going to get into this new market, they believe it's going to get done because they've seen in the past that I execute or we execute on the plan. So driving commitments, driving accountability from there filters down throughout that organization. Because if I make a commitment and meet a commitment, and I fess up to ownership and accountability, then that's the same kind of values I want throughout my organization. So it's basically saying that if the leader can do it and he's showing us the way, then we can do it. So that's been very, very effective for me. And the other thing that I think that's very important is that you got to have an organization that doesn't dwell in the past. You got to have an organization that truly believes that what is, we don't want to play with the what is or what has been. We want to talk about the what ifs. Okay, what if we can do this? What if this company does this? And once you change that mindset, then it almost becomes a ball rolling down the hill, gaining momentum, and it becomes very effective and infectious throughout that organization. So a turnaround's got to start with people. Okay, it's got you have to have the right team in place, and sometimes you don't, and sometimes you have to make those moves fairly rapidly in a turnaround. You can't dwell people that you know aren't up for the task. You have to make that decision very quick, get it over with, get all the bad news over with, and then from there start building from scratch, start building it up.
Right. Yeah, I thought it was interesting in listening to that that you started with the employees as opposed to
very important.
In the beginning of this conversation. You started with the employees. First thing was the employees. Get the communication to them, and then deal with the senior management team, which I thought was very interesting. Right? That's because not all people think that way.
Yeah, and again, if I'll be honest with you, Paul. If I didn't have people on my side throughout these turnarounds, they wouldn't happen. I could not get in. I could not get it done. It's almost like pushing a rope. It would not work. So I came here and basically reinvented the company. We're 100-year-old.
Tell us about Newark. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me tell you about Newark. Newark is a 100% recycled paperboard manufacturer. We are a vertically integrated company. And by that I mean we collect our recycled paper with 11 recycled facilities throughout the United States. We collect either baled paper waste or loose. And the kind of waste we collect, it's OCC, which stands for old corrugated cartons. We collect newspaper and mixed paper. Our biggest source of our recycle material is from retail stores, where we contract with a Walmart, we contract with a Target to buy their corrugated recycle from them. So that is my recycle piece, and I collect approximately 1.5 million tons of recycle a year. And what do I do with those tons? Well, about 50% of those tons goes and feeds my paper mills. And where we make paperboard. Paperboard is contiguous with food boxes, cereal boxes. That is paperboard. And I have 6 mills, and we produce approximately 650,000 tons of paperboard a year. And of which I only use 36% of that. That's my third leg of my integrated company. And the rest is sold to the open market. So you may want to ask, okay, so what do you do with the 36% of the paperboard internally? Well, what I do is I have converting facilities. And by that, we convert paperboard into basically mainly tubes and cores, laminated graphic board with end uses such as paper and plastic film markets with tubes, building and construction market with concrete forming tubes, protective packaging products, and decorative laminating bases. So that's what we do with our converted products.
Did Newark have converting before you came on, or was that
they did.
sort of a new? They did. Okay.
No,
so
they've had converting, but Newark, since I came on, I rationalized facilities. We had too many facilities running very very low utilization. So I rationalized both the mills and also converted product side of the business to get us a much more leaner and a much more fully utilized plant network. Typically today my mills run at 98% utilization, which is very good, and my converted plants, when I got here, we're running about 33% utilization, basically one shift. And by these latest moves we're making, majority of them will be running now 2 shifts. And that's really what you want to do. You want to leverage that fixed cost.
Right. Sounds like you're also introducing sort of more product innovation as well. I mean, that sounds like it's a very big part of this. I mean, you've rationalized operations, and I'm sure you're continuing to do so. But that was sort of your. But now it sounds like you're moving on to more innovative product development. Is that right?
I am, and I'll touch on that now, but I'll backtrack a little in terms of the other changes we made here. But yes, product innovation is important, and people think that paperboard. I mean, what's the innovation there? Well, the innovation there is really on new end uses for our product. We're finding now that people are substituting paperboard packaging for plastic, for styrofoam, for other types of packaging, and that's big for us. We're looking at floor protection, and not just a thin paper, but we're looking at a foam backed kind of floor protection product that can be used in your garages or workshops that will absorb oil or any kind of other liquids, but still have enough mass there to stay put. So we are being very innovative. And matter of fact, we celebrated our 100th year anniversary last year. Part of our celebration was that we sponsored a new product innovation contest, and that went out to our not just our employees, but also our customers and our suppliers. And I think we gathered over 200 new product ideas that we're looking in terms of seeing how feasible they are relative to new products. So it was a little bit of an oxymoron, a 100-year-old company sponsoring a new product contest. But that was very successful for us, and it really told the people a lot about the new Newark group. Let me just backtrack a little relative to the turnaround, because as I said previously, it truly was a reinvention. It was, when I got here, we were an old company looking inward. It was a company that always liked to run under the radar, didn't want to make waves in the marketplace. And really, that's the way the people looked at the company too. The employees. I mean, they didn't want to make waves. They didn't want to be known or outspoken. And it was just a methodical, slow-moving company, sort of nudging the peanut every day. So when I got here, it was a 180-degree change. We want to be open to the marketplace. We want to be open to the customer base. We want to tout our advantages out there in the marketplace, and we are in fact doing that. And the turnarounds really, it's when you're doing a turnaround, basically every department is impacted. For example, in sales, we implemented a sales incentive program that they never had. In IT, we streamlined IT, but bought some new and innovative software that'll take us to the next level. In operations, we created an operational excellence team from outside the industry that I felt was very, very important. As I talked about inward looking, well, I wanted this operational excellence team that came from outside the industry. They're experts in operational excellence, but not in paper making. And they could ask all the crazy questions that an outsider could ask without being looked upon badly. And that was very, very positive for us. This is a team of 4 people, and they're on the road 5 days a week. They're in each plant driving OGSM, and OGSM is objectives, goals, strategy, and metrics. And each plant has an OGSM board, which is very important because when I got here, when I walked through the plants, I asked an hourly employee, machine operator, how'd you do today? And they really didn't know. They didn't know if they did a good job, a bad job, how the week's going, how the month's going, and that bothered me. So we put up a metrics board at every facility so that is updated on a daily basis. So when they go home that day or when they come in the next day, they'll know if they had a good or bad day the following day and what kind of week they're having and what kind of month we're having. So I felt that's very important. And that just doesn't hold true for the plant people, but it's everybody in the organization. There was you have to communicate to the organization on a constant basis to tell them the good and also tell them the bad, so they can rally around the flag post here and help drive change. That's very important.
So, okay, so you've clearly turned the direction of the company around, motivated folks, gotten the operations normalized, product innovation. So there's another level to this, it seems to me, in that you provide yourself as a sustainable company. There's the whole innovation in terms of your products being sustainable. And so I guess just a factual question: How much of your product is it 100% recycled, or is there any virgin fiber?
No virgin. Okay. We're 100% recycled product. We're very proud of that. And let me just give you some factoids relative to the paper that we recycle each year. As I said prior, we collect approximately 1.5 million tons of recycled paper. That by recycling that paper, the gallons of water saved by recycling versus using virgin fiber is almost 10 billion gallons saved of water per year.
Wow.
Metric tons of carbon equivalent not released to the atmosphere, 1.4 million tons. Amount of trees saved per year, we save 24 million trees a year are saved because of our recycling efforts. Cubic yards of landfill space saved from recycling, 4.7 million. So we're pretty proud of our contribution to the environment and to narrowing our carbon footprint.
Now, is there a price issue with that? I mean, is it more expensive to recycle, or does it sort of wash out in various things?
It all depends on where the pricing is of recycled paper versus virgin pulp. And that's a dynamic situation, so it changes seasonally and over time.
Yeah, no, I mean, the cost of linerboard, which of course is driven by pulp, I mean, it's just sort of that bizarre. It's a bizarre. I mean, I had to schedule it out once or graph it out once, and it was like, okay, this is a crazy business.
Yeah.
So it changes quite a bit.
Yeah, Paul. Here's another good point. You just got my memory cells going here. But relative to new products, we have just converted one of our paper making machines to run linerboard. So we are going to be producing this month in October up to 7,500 tons of linerboard a year from recycle. Okay, and our recycled linerboard has the same, if not better, physical properties of virgin linerboard. So we're pretty proud of that. If you asked me a year ago, is linerboard one of your products, I'd say no. I say we're not in the linerboard business, but today we are. And that, I think that shows the determination, the can-do attitude of the people at the Newark Group to really reinvent themselves. This is a big deal. Those machines weren't bought to produce linerboard, but we made the conversions necessary, the upgrades necessary, where today we produce a very, very good linerboard.
Yeah, that's exciting. I guess finally on that subject, you had mentioned earlier in the conversation the ongoing and seemingly never resolved debate between paper versus plastic, right? I mean, and that I mean, from an environmental perspective, there are pluses and minuses to both. It seems right in terms of, okay, if you go paper, you don't have the petroleum-based and tough to, if not impossible, to recycle plastic stuff. But on the other hand, if you go paper, you're killing a lot of trees. I mean, a recycled way of doing this is sort of the answer to that, isn't it?
Oh, it is the answer. And another fact is that you can recycle paper corrugated. We'll say corrugated up to 6 times. And when you get beyond 6, the fiber length is not sufficient enough to provide the strength you need. So yes, we believe we are very sustainable. And another item worth noting is that the U.S. recycles 68% of all paper generated here in the U.S. So 68% of all paper is recycled in the United States, which is the highest recycled commodity that we have today is paper.
Be sure to check back for future editions of the President and CEO Focus on the Middle Market podcast series. Thanks for listening.